All right, guys, hopefully we're figuring it out. Sorry to change the link on you guys at the last minute, but it's just doing YouTube stuff. So if you're piping in, make sure you leave a comment. Let us know. You'll have to do it. I guess they'll have to do it directly on YouTube. So you'll really need to be on the YouTube link and not necessarily on Patreon. So hopefully we can figure this out. I don't know. We've done this live before, but for some reason, it's just a little bit more complicated. So hopefully we can figure it out. So again, if you're on here, pop us a hey or a howdy, or, yo guys are crazy, or whatever it is. And then that'll allow us to know what's going on, because we can see that there are 3 of you on there. You're probably like, what in the heck?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Hey,
we got
Such.
some. Okay, good.
Did y'all have fun in Indianapolis?
We had a great time.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And what was the best part was a lot of people recognized Sarah Mack. That was great. We had a great time. It was a huge crowd. It was about, I think 80,000 plus people. And it was a lot of fun. The best part, though, of course, was getting to meet a lot of you guys were there, which I thought was really awesome. And we did have a good time just hanging out. So what I'm going to do tonight, because this is really new for us as far as for Patreon, and we're not going to do our standard Facebook Live. We're just going to go probably for about 30 minutes. It's according to who pops in, what we do. But, we just want to answer some questions. If you have some things that you want to talk about, we'll start, kind of going through some stuff. I know there's a lot out there. And then, of course, coming off the NRA, there was a lot of cool products. So Sis is monitoring, or Sarah Mack is monitoring the questions and comments, and we'll get to it, as they come up. If not, of course, obviously, we can talk about a lot of different things. What do you think?
I guess.
It was kind of funny, though. We were at Brown Ales, and we had 4 different meet and greets. And then we had the Olight event, which was funny because they were expecting about 75 people. And it ended up being 200 that showed up. So it was crazy.
Yeah, it was a little cramped.
Yeah, it was funny because they had 75 chairs set up, and then the back was completely full, and then it spilled out into the atrium out beyond it. And then all the people that were kind of placed around it. So it was really cool. They gave away a lot of stuff, and that was neat, and had a lot of YouTubers that were there that were giving out stuff. And, I got to meet some guys actually that I watch. And, one of the things about YouTube for me is because I do so much with just making video, I don't always get a chance to watch a lot of video. But there are certain ones, that I seem to pop up and watch. But it was a great time. The funny thing was at Brown Ales, though, is we were set up, and there was a line of people there, to say hey. And they had these papers for me to sign, which was kind of funny. And then they had this huge banner it was actually lit. It was digital. It was huge above Brown Ales booth, and had me on there with it. It's when I still had my stash, my Hulk Hogan stash and a cigar.
Just when you thought your head couldn't get any bigger.
Yeah. I think I mentioned something on Instagram, and I said, people talk about, one day I'll see my name in lights. It was kind of embarrassing, because, just a guy. Like I tell people, I'm just a guy with a camera. It's great to see you guys. And I'm seeing some people popping in saying hello. Again, if you do have some questions, we'll be, obviously, especially for you guys on Patreon. And one of the reasons why we chose Monday night was because it was overwhelmingly, it is Monday night, isn't it? we came in at 2:30 this morning. And so we've been kind of a little bit groggy all day, pretty much, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And then we had a big Mexican lunch. Sarah Mack and I usually, my wife Shannon and son Grant, they're usually out we homeschool. And so they have a co-op on Monday, and they're out. So she and I go and eat, and we had a big lunch, and I came back and fell asleep for about an hour and a half on the couch, which was much needed.
Yeah.
But, we've got a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff going on a lot of different places. And so, whether it's, this constant battle with YouTube, which, we're just doing it. We're just embracing it, and we're moving forward. A lot of the people there at NRA, and even the companies that are there, were very attuned to it, and, saying, hey, what can we do? And, a lot of these guys, I've said, look, we're doing great. We have some really solid patrons that really help us get through a lot. And pay, YouTube is still paying, guys. If you're hearing people say that YouTube is not paying, but it is way, way less. And, we've got to be able to supplement in some way. And the big thing is, and I told a lot of guys this weekend, companies, I said, look, we will not, move. We're going to stay independent. We're going to be able to say what we need to say, and we don't want to hurt our credibility. I mean, we've been doing this for 11 years, and it hasn't been since the year and a half, really, that we've had to really kind of be creative in certain places. And as long as it doesn't jeopardize the integrity of what we do, that's fine. Anything else, you're not gonna tell me, not you guys. You have more power over what I do than these companies. And so, but it makes it nice that it's kind of diverse. Guys like Gun Pro Deals, Nate is great. He's like, hey, whatever. He's not vested in any certain company. Gunbuyer.com is another one. They're really great. In fact, they got in touch with me today, and they said, hey, Such, is there anything, that we can help you with? Can we send you something that you can do a review on? And, for them, it's like, hey, we're not going to tell you anything. You just do what you do. And so, and the big thing for them is just to say, hey, check out gunbuyer.com. You may not be interested in what we're showing. You might be interested in something else. And so it's really, really great. So we're kind of keeping it open over here. I know the other day on Tuesday, we did What's a FUD, and, how we stand, how we support the Second Amendment, what we do to support the Second Amendment. I did just actually post that video on Patreon through Vimeo for you guys that don't do Facebook. And that way you can go in and just kind of look and see what videos, you want to. And of course, obviously you can go to the Facebook Live. But this seems to be, Monday night seems to be a good time. We're kind of still getting our week started. And what better way than to connect with you guys? And so I see a lot of stuff going on. Is there anything that...
Well, we can go through some of the comments.
And let me say something, guys. We are going to talk some about the NRA, some of the problems that are going on. Sometimes, especially on Facebook Live, we don't want to get into too much because it just gets overwhelming. But let me say this: we're going to talk some about it, but let's not just focus just on that. There's a lot of stuff that I'm still, trying to get my head around. And so that's one big thing. But we do, we're definitely open to address, some of the things that are going on. There's a lot of people out there, that are calling them out. And again, and I've made this statement a number of times, I'm not happy with a lot of the things that are going on, but, to me, it's the biggest, and it's very effective with our congressmen and senators, but we've got to fix some things there. We just have, if it's possible. And I really feel that it is. I feel that it is. And I'm going to continue. But one of the things about the annual meeting, because a lot of people were really kind of criticizing us for going even. But, it's not, when we go, a lot of times, it's not necessarily about just the NRA. It's a time for us to really see a lot of people and to really talk and kind of see what the industry's doing. And so, that's a big part of it. But, that's just the way it goes. So if you guys have something in particular, because really, honestly, tonight, what I wanted to do is just kind of get things started, just talk a little bit. If there's some things that you guys want to see, if there's some things that you have some questions about, we definitely are wide open. We want to be as transparent as possible.
Lots of haze.
Lots of haze. Hey, thanks. And you know what? Just thanks for jumping in, because I know it was a little bit late getting this out to you guys. We had said that we were going to do it on Monday, but the weekend was crazy. And I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, you need to check it out. I know we had one night, and I'll tell you this little story. This was kind of funny. I was getting ready to leave on Saturday. Sarah Mack had left early to go with my wife and my younger son and Skinny Medic and his family, which they were there, and NC Hill that was here on Facebook Live last week, and his wife, and they were going to do some stuff at the mall. And so every night when we've left on Saturday, just on Sunday night, she just knew where we were going. So we could walk to our hotel. We were at a Hilton. And so anyway, she left early. So I'm leaving and I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting a little bit turned around. And so I'm walking around trying to find it. Well, there were 4 Hiltons that were showing up in Indy. So I'm walking around going, okay, now I know it's around here somewhere. And I came around the corner, had my phone down, and somebody goes, "Hey, Suits, what are you doing?" And I look up, and it was Hickok and his son, John. And we were laughing. They said, "What are you doing? You out here looking for women?" I said, "No, not at all. I'm trying to find my hotel." And so he said, "Come on, let's go smoke a cigar." And that's one thing, it's funny because a lot of people see me with cigars, but I don't really smoke that many cigars because these guys give me such a hard time about it. Yeah. And so anyway, we went down to this really cool, it was Nikki Blaine's, it was like a big den. It was down in this basement, had all these couches and everything. And so Hickok and his son John and I sat there and we spent about an hour and a half just hanging out. And it was a lot of fun. But one of the things about Hickok is he's 6'8" and John is 6'9". I'm 5'10" on a good day, but I'm 5'10". Okay, watch out. And so a lot of people were really laughing about the difference, and it's pretty funny. I always say I'm the Hobbit whenever I'm around those guys. But I see you guys popping in. Thanks so much for popping, stopping over. I know Sarah Mack and I could probably get away with, talking just on our own. But what we got?
Some people, they like our shirts. They like the Led Zeppelin shirt and the Angry American.
Chris Weatherman, Angry American.
Ready for book 11.
Yes. And if you haven't read the Going Home series, guys, it is an eye opener. And if you've read it and you're in the process of reading it, it is a primer for, just for survival and for a grid down situation. And Chris Weatherman is just one of the coolest guys I know. I mean, I love Chris. In fact, I think he was there this weekend, but we never caught up. I think we were but again, there were over 80,000 people. And on Saturday, it really gets crammed. And so we were trying to go from one place to the other, and you're kind of maneuvering through and
pushing people down.
No, yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Pushing me down. But it was a lot of fun. And I highly recommend guys going again, just for the event. It is something else. And of course, President Trump was there and Donald Jr. And what was really crazy is one of my buddies that does a lot with Trigicon, he actually had to pick up Donald Jr. from the airport. And so he told me, he goes, "I want you to meet him." And I was like, that's number one on my list. And we were at the Olight event when it was time for me to meet him. And so I got the message and I couldn't leave. So it was it was kind of rough because I would love to have met Donald Jr. He is a huge Second Amendment supporter and just a very outspoken Second Amendment guy. And probably one of the reasons why his father, tends to be more Second Amendment and more friendly to the NRA. Of course, obviously the bump stock ban has caused a lot of problems with the Second Amendment community toward Donald Trump. And I understand that. But, aside from that, and a lot of, I just, I don't know. There is so much like that going on. There are two sides right now. And it's really kind of very concerning. There's, those that are just violently opposed to the NRA. And I understand. I do understand. But the one thing that I've said, in fact, I called out one of my friends that is definitely in that camp. And I asked him, I said, "Are you trying to destroy the NRA? I mean, what is your end goal?" And he said, "Well, no, I'm not trying to destroy it, but I think we need to change it." And I'm like, "Yeah, we do need to change it." And I think after this past week, guys, we really, hopefully it'll be the stepping stone to get some things changed. So, yes.
We have a question.
Yes. Okay. What do we got?
David Englehart asked.
Oh, hey, David.
"I'm not sure that I've ever seen you review a single action revolver. Do you have any interest? And if so, did you have a chance to check out the new Ruger Wrangler?
No. In fact, we were in the Ruger booth at one point, just trying to we couldn't even get through. We couldn't even get to any guns. And it's funny, on Friday, it's usually lighter. I mean, it's busy, but it's a lot lighter. You can get around better. On Saturday, it is crazy packed. And then on Sunday, it is so easy to get through. I mean, it's really nice. Sunday's my favorite day, when you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much more relaxing.
Well, and, everybody, of course, Sarah Mack, she kind of stole the show quite a bit. People want to get photos and stuff. But, okay, as far as Ruger single actions, yes, I've done a number of them. I do have one of my favorites is the 45 Colt. That is one of my favorites. And we've done some stuff with it, the 44 Magnum, and also Taylor Firearms. They make some really cool reproduction. In fact, they don't make them. They import them from Italy. They're usually Uberti. And we've done some different, the Smoke Wagon, we've done a review on it. But no, I haven't seen their new ones. And I love it because I can always drag out my cowboy hat and get that. Maybe we can use a couple. Sis has a couple of horses, and she loves to ride. And of course, it's at a farm. It's at a barn that she.
It's not my farm.
Yeah, it's not hers, not ours. And but it's not far from here. But I don't think we just haven't really crossed that path of bringing any firearms out there. So who knows, though? Who knows? But David, it was great seeing you, and great that pizza was over the top, was it not? We had a great time.
It was so cheesy, I almost got choked. Not even kidding. Another question from Chase Kelly. What is Sarah's favorite firearm? I don't feel like I've shot enough different. I don't know. I mean, that's funny. I've shot more different kinds than most people, but for me to say a favorite.
Okay, well, let's put it this way. What was the firearm when I said, let's tailor you a home defense firearm? What was the one you picked?
The Koenig.
I mean, she has a choice. She has a lot of choices. And it was really funny. It really surprised me. But the Koenig and the TP9 Elite.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the exact
Well, I've got now. See, one thing about Century is they have sent a number of Koenigs because I do, their first. It's kind of like their when I show off the new pistols, and so they've sent a number of different ones. And then they said, look, these are on loan. They're on permanent loan for right now. You just keep them, and then that way I can switch them out and stuff. And so she chose the TP9 Elite. It was really funny. Now my son Seth. He has the HK VP9, so it's kind of a different, angle.
But that's pistol. I think that if we're talking about rifles, I really enjoyed the Henry 357 with the
color case hardened.
Yes, that I felt like a real cowgirl.
That was fun.
That was fun.
And she has one of the Henry Golden Boy 22s.
I love that one
hers.
too.
Yeah.
The other one just is a little more powerful. Feels
a little bump to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And if any of you guys don't know, Henry has just released their side loading gate lever actions, and they're limited yet as far as what numbers they're going to be putting them into. And I think they're really, and these will still take the tube fed, so you can do either way. You can go through the tube or you can load on the side. That's one of the huge things that was really holding a lot of people back from Henry was that side loading gate. So we were looking at one this weekend, and that's going to be a game changer for Henry. There's no doubt. In fact, when I posted the picture, a lot of people were just going crazy. So it was fun. And we went by the Henry booth, saw Dave, old 22 Plinkster. He was hanging out there, and it's always great to see him. And, one of the things about the YouTube gun community is that we're all friends typically. We get along great. There's no real competition. I'll do a video and it doesn't compete with, let's say, 22 Plinkster's video because he does, his own style to it and people are looking. And so it makes it kind of nice, just like with Hickok or, whoever does reviews. And like I always say, I mean, check out the other reviews, check them out because, it's nice to be able to have some different perspectives And maybe because typically I'm shooting, an example of one. And for some reason, and I mean, in fact, I was talking to this, Hickok and I were talking about it. And I said, for some reason, when I take a firearm, it just seems to work. I mean, it's just, maybe I'm holding my mouth right. I don't know. Some guys, I've said it before, they can break an anvil with a feather. But you know what? You need to know that. You need to be able, to be aware of that. And so, just like the SIG P365, I've had no problems with that handgun. I've shot over 1,200 rounds through it. There are other people that have had a lot of problems. And, and two, Robbie Wheaton, we've talked about it. He has said he's had a lot to come through his shop. And, but, it's just one of those things. So again, I have a sample of one. This is my true review of it. But maybe somebody else has one that maybe have some issues. And so, it's really important. Because here's the thing, honestly, for me, is when I'm doing reviews, what matters to me is that you could possibly have to use this or depend on it in a self-defense situation. That's huge. I can't deceive or cover up something that I'm not showing. And so, I guess because I think it was like the R51 Remington, those guns, they've had horrible problems. And like I said, I was praying. I was like, please don't let this thing be, flawless. And it was.
Of course.
So, yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was going, wow. But, I mean, if it works, it works. And I think the R51, they've done a lot to fix. It was the magazines, I think, is the main thing. So, yes.
Eddie Ballou asked, favorite suppressor? I have the Omega 9K and Sparrow from Silencer Co. and the Odessa 9 and Wolf 9 SD from Dead Air in Jail.
Okay, well, let me say this, and you'll notice I don't have a lot of suppressor videos. A lot of, I just did the OSS. I know the Omega 9K is an excellent suppressor. I know the Sparrow is also an excellent suppressor. But this is the thing, and sometimes you have to specialize in certain things. And one of the problems for me, as far as being a reviewer, is that if I get a suppressor in, unless the company that has it, like Silencer Co., they got in touch with me a while back and they said, look, we want to work with you on some stuff. We're going to bring a team out to your range and we're going to shoot these suppressors. Well, for one thing, that just makes it look like it's just a sponsored, deal. And I'm going to, of course, say good things about Silencer Co. But also it takes a lot of time. And so, I just don't do that. I don't specialize in it. So honestly, I'm not that savvy on suppressors. I mean, just, in fact, when we did the OSS suppressor, I had Robbie here with me doing it because he is savvy and he knows all the ins and outs. And so, and two, when like that OSS, it had to be in Robbie's possession. So for me to do the review, Robbie had to be there because it's an NFA item. Now, yes, the paperwork's coming. It is in jail. And until that time, but I'll tell you that OSS suppressor, if you haven't looked at those, that flow through technology, it gets that gas out the front instead of back through the ejection port. But the ones that you mentioned, Dead Air, that's a great company. I've talked to those guys a number of times, and they do have a great product. But again, sometimes a man has to know his limitations. So that's just one of mine. We're good? Okay.
I don't have any more questions yet.
Yeah. Any questions you guys have? Seriously, just pop it in and we'll try to address what we can. But, and if we can't, I'll tell you.
Any question. Any question.
Well, I don't know about any. I don't know about any question, but, if it has anything to do with guns or self-defense or survival, I'm good with it. It's kind of funny. It's like that. I did a video on the, I think it was 15 uses of a condom in a survival situation. And, we put water in it. You can use it to seal things up. You can even put it over your feet, if you're in a bad situation, to help protect your feet from water. And so I had my foot, I was applying the suppressor. I was applying the condom over my feet. And the way I had my foot lifted up, it was in a very particular position. And so as I was pulling it over and I was wiggling my toes, it got on Reddit. And it went crazy. That video went absolutely crazy. And I was like, what in the world? And when I went back and watched it, it was almost obscene. And I had no idea. Okay, we have a question.
Yeah, we have a question. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
J. Derek Williams asks, this is
man.
a gear-related question. Are you reviewing the Olight R50 Seeker 2?
Yes, I am. I'm gonna tell you that it's funny because, Olight is very aggressive with their marketing. Olight has helped me, and I'm very that. A number of years, I just reviewed Olights, and Marshall from Going Gear would send me one. And so I would do the review, and that was it, just for the light, and of course, I don't want to send it back because, it's just a flashlight and it's cost to ship it back. So, I would get that and I would do the review. I started doing reviews, working directly with Olight after Marshall passed away, and they really requested. And so when we do these flash sales and stuff, number one, it's just a freaking good deal. It's a great deal. So I love to announce it. But it does help support the Suits channel. So that's one of the ways we try to do it. But the unfortunate thing is sometimes I find myself doing too many. I recognize that, it's just, I don't want to be an Olight channel. And so really, I had just finished the M1T Raider, which is a great little light, great little EDC light. They're coming out with this new PL Pro, which is a weapons light, just like the PL2, but it has rechargeable capability. And it also has a magnetic switch that you can attach it to a rifle. And it's 1,500 lumens, or it goes down to 300. So I knew that was coming, and I really wanted to do that one. And so when the Seeker Pro, I was like, look, I can't do back to back, And they were like, that's fine. But then after we were at the event, and that Seeker Pro, that thing is awesome. It's an awesome light. So, I just have to weigh it out, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to at least bring it up, and I'll do some kind of review on it. But that is one thing, guys, I just want you guys to know, because it's kind of funny. I just feel sometimes like it's almost, it's a little bit too much. And not only that, and I've told the guys at Olight, I said, the problem is I'll do one and there'll be 12 others doing the same thing. So it's like, the big thing for me is I don't want to hurt my credibility. It doesn't, the money doesn't matter as much as my credibility, as far as, on YouTube, because that's really the bottom line. It's not about, it's about showing you guys gear that works, showing you guys guns that work. But that's a great light, and I'll probably end up doing it just because it's just a fantastic light. So, yeah. Oh, we got another question.
Yes.
Elbow me.
Oh my goodness. Amistoso Lopez.
Hey, man.
Do you have a particular favorite BCG for an AR-15?
Man, there's a lot of them out there. There really is a lot. I've done a lot with the Sharps Reliabolt and their bolt carrier with their diamond coating. That is a incredible. Early on, they had some issues. It's S7 steel, and there were some things with the metallurgy they were having some problems with way early on. But since that time, that is one of my favorites, just because it's so the diamond light coating on it, the DLC coating is so smooth and it's easy to clean. I used to really like nickel boron, but the problem with it is it seems like it I don't know, it just gets a little bit, even though it's not supposed to. It's a little sticky. So I'm really going now toward more nitride coated, black nitride. One of my favorite bolt carrier groups is the BCM. Those things are just solid. But, there's just so many out there that I don't get to test all of them. So those are some that I really like. But there are some really good ones out on the market. But the one thing about black nitride is that it does clean up well. It doesn't seem to gum up that much. It's a very slick finish. I like that on the barrels. I like that on firearms. The black nitride is just a really great way to go. But just make sure that, you have that at least 158 Carpenter steel bolt. Those are some things, that you want to look at. The bolt carrier, make sure it's chrome lined. Now, I'll just to tell you, PSA makes a great mil-spec bolt carrier and bolt, and it's reasonable, super reasonable. So, yes.
Have you ever tried the Fail Zero BCG?
I have. In fact, I did a review on it, and it's excellent. Now, I haven't done one of their new ones. I know they've come out with a new formula. This has been like maybe 6-7 years ago and maybe longer than that, because it was one of the first companies that actually sent me a bolt to test. And I really do. I really like it. So yeah, those guys do a great job. So, and they've been around a good while, and that says a lot, especially in this market, because we have so many companies producing AR parts, AR accessories. And so, but that's one to look at. We're good.
Yep.
Okay. So, the thing is, really looking for the right quality, and, HPI and MPT tested, magnetic particle inspected, MPI, and HPT, which is high pressure tested. What that does, it just reveals if there are any kind of imperfections in the metal, and then typically they'll shot peen the bolt, and that hardens the surface of the metal. So those are processes that sometimes they do it in batches, sometimes they do it with every bolt. Now, a lot of people will say that's just not really a big deal, and I've read that a number of places. But I would rather go, because of the way the bolt carriers are, and there's so many out there, why not go ahead and get those features, on your bolt and bolt carrier? Yes.
Martin Humphreys
Hey, Martin.
asks, is it harder to get around events and shows now that you have some pretty good celebrity status these days?
Oh, it's crazy. It is. It's crazy. Trying to get through. But let me tell you, guys, I'm going to tell you something. If I didn't talk to one company, I wouldn't care. I would, because I just love interacting and talking to people, and a lot of times hearing stories, crazy stories. Or and I talked to one guy that he always comes up to me at the show, and he repossesses cars in South Chicago. And just recently he was shot 3 times. Thank goodness he was wearing a vest. And it was actually an AR-500 vest, because the guy shot him with an AK. And he did get around in the leg. So I'm telling you, I hear some of the craziest stuff. But I'm going to tell you guys, just like right now, we're talking, this has been beautiful for you guys to be able to interact. I love it. So, while it's funny, because I had these 2 guys, young guys, they came by, and we were walking out. Actually, we were leaving the show. And the guy looks over and he goes, "Man, I don't want to bother you or anything, but man, love your videos. And they take up much of your time, And I just walked over and I said, well, maybe I want to take up some of your time. And so I just walked over and hung out with him. It's funny because Hickok's son, John, we were talking the other night, and he said, that's one thing. He goes, when people come up, I want them to know that I really enjoy talking to them. I want them to know that. And same thing with me. I want you to know, if you catch me somewhere, it's funny. I'll have some people look at me they'll look at me on the side, and I can tell they know who I am, but they won't speak to me because they're afraid they're going to bother me. Well, I'm not Tom Cruise or Bruce, Bruce Willis or something like that. I don't walk down, Main Street and people just stop me, which they have, but, typically, and I really enjoy it. It's an honor anytime somebody stops me. Yes.
J. Dirt Williams asks, have you ever tried Merrell Moab tactical boots?
No, I haven't. I do know, of course, Merrells are great. Let me see. Hold on. No, these aren't Merrells. These are, what are these? Yeah, I love Merrell shoes. And no, I haven't tried their tactical boots. They are excellent, the company itself. But no, in fact, now I'm still stuck on LA Police Gear side zip boots. In fact, it was funny. I met a guy the other week, a friend of mine, and he was laughing. He said, so what you got? What kind of boots you got on? I said, I got my side zip boots, of course. And I looked over and he had the same thing. He said, well, I'm glad you promote what you wear. So, yes.
S. Hold ask, what's your go-to EDC handgun? CZ P10 for me for the past couple years. I would love to have the FN 509, but won't buy a gun that won't fire after being submerged in water.
It's funny. Yeah. And I haven't actually seen that test. I know, obviously if it won't just submerged, but it was funny this weekend. We were talking about some of the, the test. I know Tim does a big gauntlet test, and a lot of times people will, say, well, it didn't get through the gauntlet. But how many times are you, in a self-defense situation, let's say at a gas station or a convenience store, you're at a restaurant, and you're pulling your gun and you drop it in mud or you drop it in something, So yeah, those tests are great. and there's something to be said about them. But honestly, I keep my guns pretty much. I'm not in combat that often, and so me dropping it, in water, yeah, me dropping it in water or in the mud or in the sand, But if that's a place that you frequent, if you live near a marina, obviously, if you have a boat, that may be something you really need to do. Now, P10C, excellent. P10S, love it. My EDC though is the Glock 26, and now does that I do carry other guns, and sometimes the Glock 43, different ones. And it's the reason why I carry Glock is not because I think that's the greatest gun that ever was, but because I have tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 rounds through Glocks, maybe more. And so it's just that gun that when I grab it, it's like it's it's an extension of my hand. So, but the CZ line is awesome. And I have been carrying the P10S quite a bit, but it's just one of those. But the FN 509 is here's the thing, guys. Honestly, there are so many different choices in the subcompact market. The Walther PPQS. Oh my goodness. The HK VP9 SK, the P30 SK. I can go on and on. You guys know it. There's so many. And here's the deal. Canik's getting ready. They're working on it. It looks like we may be getting a subcompact from them. So that's in the works, but it may be a while. Yes.
Jim Waldron asked, "Are you going to SHOT Show 2020?"
I just don't do SHOT usually. It's great and it's huge and there's so much to do there. But one of the things, I usually go to NRA and I go to some events where, there's a lot of people there, like Iraq veteran, or I go down to the Big Daddy shoot like I did. And so it just, here's the thing for me. I don't travel a lot. I get a lot of invitations to go to Croatia, to go to, Poland, Israel, which that's probably going to happen. But, there's a lot of different places and, it'd be great. But when I'm gone, I can't do videos on the stuff that I want to do videos on. So that's one of my deals. And so for SHOT, it just takes some time. I just had an invitation from Palmetto State Armory, wanted me to go to Montana and do all this stuff. And I was like, I just don't have time. And two, you know what? I love being with my family. Now with Sarah Mack working with me now, with Sarah Mack working with me, I can take her, and I did take Shannon and Grant with us to the NRA, and we just kind of had a family thing. But, a lot of times, I'm busy. So that's one thing.
Jammer Jim asks, since you had the break-ins in the past, have you upgraded any surveillance cameras? I've been seeing great deals and some with solar panels so they can be wireless.
I highly recommend getting cameras. We do have cameras. We have them installed around the property. We have, we have upgraded our security system quite a bit. And at one point we were actually running two different companies. I won't get into why, but we kind of had one that really was superior to the other, and our contract wasn't quite out. And there are a lot of great systems out there. There's a lot of just cool things you can get. Now, one thing we do is, I highly recommend cameras. And one great thing is you've got your, an app to your phone. We can watch. I can be somewhere. I can be in Indianapolis and see what's going on around our house. And so, and typically when we're gone, like on trips, we'll have people that'll stay here and, house sit and have a lot of activity. My parents actually live right next door on the property. So that makes it nice. And Seth was here all weekend as well. So, and he even lives on the other side. So, we always have a lot of that, but sometimes that's not possible. But for us, having a good security system. But I'll tell you one thing that's really, as far as this is an easy thing, is we have a driveway alarm. And I bought it at Harbor Freight. And we installed it out toward the end of the driveway. And anytime somebody passes, the alarm goes off inside, just makes a chime. And so we know when anybody pulls in the driveway. So, and there's a lot of different other solutions. They don't always have to be electronic, but I highly recommend solar panel would be great, but ours is hooked into the system and it's battery backup. I mean, we have to do that. And then of course this room is secure. We have another room that's secure. One thing about it is for us is A lot of times I get like you look back here and you think, man, there's a lot of guns, but we have safes, and the big thing is I have to be able to do comparisons, and we have to do different things, and we bring other things out, and we put optics on different guns, and it's part of what we do. Honestly, it's a little over the top though. But we have to have them secure. So I highly recommend having some kind of massive security system if you're going to have a number of guns, for sure. Well, you don't want to get them out on the street either. So, but that's just part of what we do. And then of course with the break-in, that definitely upped things for us. But since that time we hadn't had any problems. But the guy that originally broke in here is now out. He was released in November, and I do have a picture of him. And actually, some of my good friends that are in the law enforcement community do know the guy. So they said he's pretty much a petty criminal. But, you never know. He did steal my gun, right? Yeah. And then what was funny is one time we had somebody messing around up at the top of near the road. And my wife looked out and she said, "What's that car doing up there? There's something really weird going on." And so I started to head up there just to see what was going on. And Sarah Mack comes running out with her gun in her hand. She goes, "Where are they? What are we?" I said, "Get back inside." Now, she can handle it.
You got to have backup.
Have backup. But, I
just hate for anybody to steal some bullets,
Yeah, we don't want anybody stealing these bullets. Of course, we keep those in the same room we keep our guns.
No, stealing bullets.
We won't talk about that. Now, let me say this while we got a minute here. I just did a video. In fact, I just uploaded it to Patreon. It had been on Facebook, and it was when Robbie and Rodney and I were doing the about what's a FUD, what are we doing to support the Second Amendment. There were some questions there that were, really deserving more of an answer than I was willing to give in a public forum. And it was more like, are you willing to defend the Second Amendment? Do you feel like that a second American Revolution is coming, or what? And I was trying to be careful because it is a public forum, And so one thing I do want to just reiterate is that to me, the Constitution and the Second Amendment in particular is something worth dying for. I mean, it's something worth standing for, something worth fighting for. So, in case there's any, because one of the guys that commented, who always kind of comes into the Facebook and is very active and always very positive, he kind of felt like that we were compromising some. And I went back in and had to talk to him. I said, "Look, I just want to get this straight." But I said, I have to be prudent. I can't, always just take a public. I did get a strike for a video I made one time about the Second Amendment and assault weapons bans and things like that, because I was being pretty emotional about it. But I just want you guys to know that, I'm not passive when it comes to the Second Amendment. I'm not willing to, what I'm saying. So, but I just want to reiterate that to me, the Constitution, I am a strict constitutionalist, just like with the bump stock ban. My big problem with that is that it was regulated into a position where honestly, they had to make a law. If they wanted to make a law to ban bump stocks, that was the way they really should have done it, because it did not come under the definition of what's a fully automatic. So just, and I did make a strong video about that. Yes.
Ever read Resistance to Tyranny by Joseph Martino?
No, I have not. I've read a lot of books over the years, but no. And I try to read. I read all the time because it's really important to keep my mind sharp. But no, I have not read that one. But I have read some that were pretty potent. In fact, I'm trying to think of the one that I read that was really strong. In fact, James Yeager was just talking about it, and if I can think about it, I'll bring it up. It's about this thick, and it has Lady Liberty being jackbooted, by some, ATF guy. And if I can think about it, I'll bring that title up. But, I've read a lot of different books. And, the thing is, guys, is we do need to be prepared to defend the Second Amendment. And, it's really important. But one of the things that I was really, really kind of wanting to focus on is doing it in a, defend the Constitution and defend the Second Amendment in a positive fashion. And, that means, taking people out and showing them how to shoot. To this weekend, I had a number of people, which I always do, had a number of people come up to me and they said last year, and it's funny because they say this, last year I didn't own a gun. This year I bought a gun and I bought one for my wife. I joined the NRA and now I'm here at the annual meeting. That is someone that is getting invested in the Second Amendment. And they may have been, they may have been supportive, but once they have that ownership of a firearm, then they begin to see when CNN or whoever starts spouting stuff, or these politicians start spouting things off, they take issue with it. And so that's the thing I think that's most important. I know a lot of people are really good about that. I know Nancy, who is on here a lot of times. She's one of my patrons, but she's also very active on our Facebook account. And she takes women out and teaches them the basics of and about self-defense, and actually does that, and to me, that is a high calling. And so taking people out for the first time. Do we have something? Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Bump me.
Okay. Sorry.
I'll go on for hours.
Jammer Jim says, I missed the NRA show this year. I'll be there next year. If you had time, what one new item you saw there caught your attention?
It was funny. There's a lot of things there that do drag, kind of get me rolling, and I'm looking. I'll tell you one thing that I really liked was, and this is kind of an offbeat kind of thing, but Lone Wolf, they're doing this system where you can go in and pick your frame, pick your slide, pick your barrel, pick different configurations on the slide. And it's coming. It's this whole computer thing. You get on the line, you can actually order exactly what you want as far as a Glock pistol. That was really cool. That was just one of the things that just happened right now to stick out. I'm really excited about getting a hold of the Mossberg, the new Mossberg MC1, 9mm. I want to check that out. Of course, Henry with the side loading gate. That's a big one for a lot of people, because it's there are more comments about that than any other thing. Yes. And NRA will be in Nashville next year. And so, it's kind of right there in the center. Of course, so is, Indy is a good place too. But that's going to be a big show. And it's kind of in that heartland area, kind of draws from the South and the North, it kind of brings them together. But I highly recommend going, guys. The one thing about it is, with all this stuff that's going on in the hierarchy, and I've just started really kind of delving into it. I don't know everything. But one of the big things is we do need to do some cleaning up. But, being a member of the NRA, the $30 or whatever it is that you pay, all it does is pays for your magazine subscription, pretty much, and some of the things they send. It doesn't do anything else. I mean, it's not like, you're giving money to Wayne LaPierre if you're paying that. The other thing that I do want to mention about the NRA, which I've seen some stuff talking about how much they spend on defending our rights. The NRA doesn't do that. The NRA does kid safety programs. They do. They have a huge instructor, NRA certified instructors. They're big on safety programs. They're big on inner city things. They supply a lot of money for ranges, building ranges, doing a lot of things like that. And then on the local level, because it is illegal for them to give money to political processes. And that's the reason why they have the ILA, which is the Legislative Institute, or Institute for Legislative Action. And so that's a whole separate deal. So that's who really kind of kind of fights the fight. And Chris Cox is the one that kind of leads that. Now, NRA speaks about it and they do it. But, that's one of the things. I just want to bring that up as far as a middle of the road at this point. We'll probably be addressing it a lot more in the next few weeks as things kind of pan out. Right now, it's just kind of everybody's just up in the air. So, that's that. But everybody's quiet now that I'm talking about that. But, I'll tell you guys, it's something that is near and dear to us. It's something that we really need to stand and fight. The GOA is doing a lot. The Second Amendment Foundation, which I'm also a member of. And, there's a lot of action. But one of the things that, and I said this actually on our Facebook Live, is it's just like, you go to church and you put $30 in the offering plate a year. You drop it in and then you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm a member. That's not what that's no good. It's no good. Same thing with the NRA or any gun organization that you support. It takes more than that, and it takes you getting involved. And the big thing is when legislative starts to come down, especially on the state level, it helps you to be active. And, PopVox is a great way to be able to interact. But at this point right now, we're not really facing any kind of legislative threat, really. I mean, again, state level, federal level, no, we're not really facing anything. So, the big thing is right now is for us to be active and to take out our family and our friends shooting. So where are we? We're not getting any questions. There's a lot of people have been popping in. Thank you.
Yeah, just commenting.
To be honest with you, it's really great. And I'll go back in and look at the comments. Again, this is only for Patreon. Yes.
Also, if you have any other questions, put it in the comments after the video is permanent so that we can actually reply to them. Because the chat will...
I think it's still... you can't reply to the chat when it goes off like you can do on Facebook. So, just make sure you maybe put some comments in. And again, this is an unlisted video. So, if somebody, they can share it, but please, don't share it. I'll just ask you not to share it because it is for the patrons only. I like to be able to do that. Now, what we'll be doing coming up in the future is I'll probably have a subject that we'll bring out, but this was kind of just a meet and greet and hang out. We're just going to talk about some stuff. And Robbie's not going to be joining me on these because it's just late in the evening. He was wanting to, actually. He's like, hey, man, I'll come in, but, we're kind of winding down on a Monday night. And it's just kind of nice to sit here and get Sarah Mack on camera, make me look better.
That's hard to do.
Me, my old self, but guys, it's really important, really what we do. It is. And I'm talking about me. I'm talking about you. You're the ones that help empower a lot of what we can do. And, and you out in the community, whatever organization you get behind, whatever you say to your friends and neighbors, that you come in contact with. Do we have a question?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
I just don't want to
because I'm blah, blah, blah.
Do y'all have a good local sheriff that would refrain from any anti-Second Amendment laws?
Yes, we live in the upstate of South Carolina, and a lot of the sheriffs here are very strong with the Second Amendment. I know that Anderson County, which is just right here next to Greenville County, Skipper, and now he's not there, I think now, but before he actually owned one of the large shooting ranges down in that county. And they're very friendly to Second Amendment typically. But we're just lucky because I know there's a lot of states. I know a lot of you guys are under some stuff, especially, some guys are even from other countries, but especially if you're on the West Coast, it's getting tough out there. And, and I hate it because I hate that I have fellow Americans, that are under tyranny, honestly. It's funny, when we lived in Brevard, North Carolina, the sheriff there was a really close personal friend, and our wives worked together. My wife wasn't labor and delivery nurse, and so they worked together, and we would have dinner with him on Tuesday nights. And he was a strong Second Amendment supporter. It was really great, and still is, by the way. But that, and two, interacting with local politics. Guys, don't just be on the national level; it's local, and most of you know that. So. Anyway, we're kind of winding down. If some of you have some questions, you want to pop them in, please don't feel free because we're just kind of open. But again, what we're going to do is pretty much, I just don't want to take up too much time for you guys. It's a Monday night. It's kind of hanging out. But, we're going to, like I say, what we'll do next week is we'll come in and we're going to do this now on Monday nights, unless we just, nobody shows up. And we'll, just talk about some things. We'll have some subjects. Definitely, if you have some ideas or some things, I can't do them all. I'll just have to put it that way. But you guys on Patreon get the priority. And I've said it before, and sometimes I'll overlook things. If there's something that I have overlooked, please remind me. You can, it's easy enough to get in touch with me. You can leave it in the message. And so it really makes it nice. Also, next year at the NRA, if you're going to be there, let me know ahead of time. We'll meet and have dinner. We'll do something like that. I know David Everhart. I met him actually last year, and we went out to dinner in Dallas. And so this year we did the same. And I saw a number of guys of you out there that are patrons, and we're saying hello, and it was funny because I recognized a lot of guys just from your name because you're active. And so, feel free to be active. I always try to make a priority to talk to you guys, just because you're my core. You're the guys that, you're not going to be bashing me, hopefully. And so it makes it nice to be able to interact with you guys. And I feel like, that's for the best interest. And so it's good. So we're good. Yeah. So, yep. Oh, you got to be kidding me. I can talk and talk. It's been an hour. We actually originally planned for 30 minutes, but we're going to go ahead and wind it down. Sis isn't a big, or Sarah Mack. I call her Sis because her brothers call her Sis. But she usually goes to see her horses right after we get finished with Facebook Live on Friday. So she's kind of like, okay, watch the time.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there right now in the middle of the night.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Enjoy yourself. But guys, thanks so much. Again, I've said it 1,000 times, but I'm going to say it over and over because it's a blessing. You guys are a blessing. Again, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have Sarah Mack with me. She keeps me kind of lined up a lot of things that she helps to do. And, I really do appreciate it. I do have some things coming up, hopefully, that we can work out some deals for you guys that you can't get anywhere else. I know Tim does that over at Military Arms a lot of times. But he has a lot of connections with Copper Custom. But I would really like to be able to do some things. I have some stuff in the works. And so just to help you guys out, if it's something that you like, it won't necessarily be anything that's going to benefit me. It's just strictly to benefit you. And I just want to do that because I just love you guys. And I love the interaction. You're always positive and always give me, help, encourage. And when I'm not doing right, you encourage me that way. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. We're good. I just want to make sure I don't leave anybody. Again, comments. I may try to see if I can upload this and put it on Patreon. And I need to sneeze, so I may sneeze before I finish.
Bless you.
I hadn't sneezed yet.
No, I know.
But anyway, guys, again, thanks. Be strong. Be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic.